Shalom Havarim, James Trim here, and I want to share with you today some information about the Jewish law, the oral Torah, in reference to a statement that Caiaphas makes in reference to his judgment concerning turning Yeshua over to the Romans. In Yochanan chapter 11, verse 50, he says, it is better that one man die for the nation than the whole nation perish. The word nation there could also be translated people. So it could also be better for us that one man die for the people than the whole people perish. So what does this mean? And because it actually has a great significance in terms of Torah. Before I continue, though, I want to remind everybody, first of all, there are handouts for this video, and if you click on the link in the video description, you'll get a link to the PDF of the handouts, where you can just click on that and print those out for yourself, and that way you can follow along in the Tosefta, the Midrash Rabbah, and the Jerusalem Talmud, from which we will be carrying out this study. Also, donate. This is a very unique ministry podcast, and the materials that we are, information that we're publishing is very unique and specialized, and we ask that you please donate to support this work. You can do that by sending donations to PayPal at via PayPal to donations at wnae.org. That's donations at wnae.org, or you can click on the donate link provided in the video description as well. Also, remember to subscribe to these videos, to this channel, to like the video, and to share this video on social media with your friends and like-minded individuals, and maybe people that aren't like-minded that ought to be exposed to the information. All right, so want to start with a passage that is found in the Tosefta. The Tosefta is a Shas collection. By Shas, I mean that it is divided into the 6 orders of the Mishnah and the Gemara, and the Toseftas, or Tosefos in the Ashkenazi pronunciation, is a collection of materials in the same orders and tractates as the Mishnah that are supplementary to the Mishnah, and so much of the material is parallel to the Mishnah, but much of it also does not appear in the Mishnah. And so the material we're looking at is in Teremot, Tractate Teremot, and there's different ways of dividing the tractates up into chapter and section. It's chapter 7, and different publications and reference systems divide up chapter 7 differently, so the best way is to search through and find this material in chapter 7, and we've also included it here in the handout for you. So the Tosefta reads, "A group of Jews to whom Gentiles say, 'Give us one of you, and we shall kill him, and if not, behold, we will kill all of them.' they should let themselves be killed and not deliver them one soul from Israel. But if they designate one person to them, for example, Shiva bin Bichri, they should give him to them and not let themselves be killed. All right, we'll stop there. That's the initial halakha, the initial brisa here. So there's a group of Jews. The Gentiles say to them, give us one of yourselves so that we can kill him, and if not, behold, we're going to kill all of you. It says they should let themselves be killed and not deliver them one soul from Israel. But if they designate, if they're specific to them, for example, Shiva bin Bichri, they should give him to them and not let themselves be killed. This is this reference to Shiva bin Bichri is actually a reference to an account found in the Tanakh in 2 Samuel, chapter 20. This individual was an Ephraimite who had rebelled against King David after Absalom's rebellion, and he was amongst a group of people. It was all intra-Jewish. There were no Gentiles actually involved here, that turned him over rather than suffer retribution on the whole community. Okay. So that's the example that is given. So there's two parts to this this Torah. One, it's oral Torah, but it's Torah. One, that if a group of Gentiles say to a group of Jews, deliver one of yourselves over so that we can kill him, or we're going to kill all of you, we're prohibited from cooperating to save ourselves. We can't turn even one Jewish soul over unless there is a caveat that's offered based on 2 Samuel 20:22. If they're specific, if they say, turn Shmuel over to us. Okay. Now, the thing is that these types of Mishnot and Baraita or Brisa, like this one, they raise questions. And that's why we have the commentators. And unfortunately, this is an element, it's not found, this is a little bit more difficult of a study in a sense, because this is an element that is not found in the Mishnah. It's only found in first in the Tosefta, and it is not found in the Babylonian Talmud. It is found in the sources that we're going to cite here today, in the Tosefta, and then in the Genesis Rabbah, and finally in the Jerusalem Talmud, not the Babylonian Talmud. And the reason for that is that there is no Gemara for Tractate Teremot in the Babylonian Talmud. Okay, so all of the 63, I believe, tractates of the Mishnah, they're under the 6 orders. There are several for which there is no Gemara in the Babylonian Talmud. There are some for which there's no Gemara in the Jerusalem Talmud. There's some for which there's no Gemara in either. In this case, in this particular tractate, there is no Gemara in the Babylonian Talmud for this tractate, which is unfortunate because no doubt this material would appear in that Gemara if it existed. It's also why the Jerusalem Talmud is so important, because even though the Babylonian Talmud is regarded as more authoritative, and there's a whole debate about whether it is or should be, but that's the general halakha, that the Babylonian Talmud has the priority. Nonetheless, there are portions for which there are tractates for which there's no Gemara in the Babylonian Talmud, and there is Gemara in the Jerusalem Talmud. So without the Jerusalem Talmud, we'd have no Gemara for tractate Tiramot. So it's the Jerusalem Talmud is still very, very important. Okay, the Tosefta continues by giving the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda is very important. He was the compiler of the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda said, when do these words apply? In a case when he is inside and they are outside, that is, of a fortified city. Okay, so he's inside, they're outside. But in a case where he is inside and they are inside, since he will be killed and the other Jews will be killed with him, they should give him to them and not let themselves all be killed. And so did it state in 2 Samuel 20:22, and the woman came to all the people in her wisdom, etc. And she said to him, since he will be killed and you will be killed, give him to them and do not kill all of you. So, the position of Rabbi Yehuda is that only when he's inside the city and they are outside the city do we not give him over. But if he's inside the city and we're inside the city, we're all in the same place, we should give him up because he's going to die anyway when we die, and why should we all die? That is the position of Rabbi Yehuda. Then the Tosefta gives us the opinion of Rabbi Shimon. This is Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, also known as Resh Lakish. The Tosefta gives us his position and says, Rabbi Shimon says, so did she say to them, anyone who rebels against the monarchy of the house of David is liable to receive the death penalty. Okay, so what Rabbi Shimon then is saying here, according to the Tosefta, is that if the person that they're requesting, in the case in question here of Sheva ben Bichri, he was guilty of sedition and treason against the house of David. And so it is only in that situation that when they specify someone who has who is guilty of treason and sedition against the house of David, that that person is guilty to death, and they should give him up rather than all die on his behalf. Okay, we have here the Genesis Rabbah 94 sub 9, and that reads virtually identically. So we're not going to go over it other than to say, hey, we have sort of a second witness to the text here in Genesis Rabbah 94:9, and I've included it here, and I've cut and pasted from a translation, and that the differences between the two are essentially the translation, okay, from different translators. So we're not going to go over what it says in Genesis Rabbah. It says the same thing. But now I want to go over to the Jerusalem Talmud for Tiramot 8:4. And there are also different ways of referencing material in the Jerusalem Talmud. I wish there wasn't, but there are. So I've cut and pasted it here, and you'll have to find the material for yourself. But if you want to go look it up, it's in Tractate Tiramot, and it's Tractate Tiramot to the material in, I believe, Mishnah 7, I believe I'm correct. Okay. It has been taught. A group of people on the road were met by Gentiles. So it's a slightly different phrasing here, or different situation here in the Jerusalem Talmud. It specifies a situation where there's a group of people on the road that were met by Gentiles that said to them, "Give us one of you that we may kill him. Otherwise, we will kill all of you." Even if all of them are killed, they should not hand over a Jewish person if they designated one, like Sheva ben Bichri, as in 2 Samuel 20, even though Sheva ben Bichri revolted against David, and the entire affair was intra-Jewish, amongst Jewish people, the action of the people of Avel ben Maacah in that situation, in other words, is taken as legal precedent in all cases. They should hand him over so as not to be killed. Okay, so this is a paraphrase restatement of the Brisa that we saw in a earlier attested version in the Tosefta and in the Genesis Rabbah. Unlike the Tosefta and the Genesis Rabbah, the Jerusalem Talmud omits Rabbi Judah's opinion, doesn't even include it. It goes on and immediately into the position of Rabbi Simeon ben Lakish. It said on condition that he be guilty of a capital crime like Sheva ben Bichri. Okay, so it's also a little bit different from the Tosefta and the Genesis Rabbah, which refer to the specific crime of treason to the house of David, and instead generalizes it not to all cases of persons that are guilty of a capital crime. And that's important because the Jerusalem Talmud then also provides us with a opposing position of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan is credited with being the initial compiler, editor, redactor of the Jerusalem Talmud. So he interjects his position here, and he says, even if he is not guilty of a capital crime, like Sheva ben Bichri, and then he relates an Agadah story. He says, Ila bar Koshav, in some manuscripts and in Genesis Rabbah it's Koshar, but same guy, was proscribed by the government. This would be the Roman government. So by the Gentiles, the Goyim. He fled and went to Lida, or Lod, the city, or Lod, the city of Lod is still there in Israel today, in modern Israel, to Rabbi Joshua ben Levi. And they came and surrounded the city, the Romans. They said to them, if you do not hand him over to us, we shall destroy the city. So this seems to fit into our brisa. Rabbi Joshua ben Levi went to him and talked him into being handed over to them. So he talked him into surrendering himself, or at least allowing himself to be turned over. Elijah, may he be remembered for good things, used to appear to Rabbi Joshua ben Levi. He, Elijah, stopped appearing. He, Joshua ben Levi, fasted many days. And he, Elijah, appeared to him again and said to him, do I appear to informers? So he says, hey, you're a collaborator. You're a snitch. I don't appear to snitches. I don't, I don't want anything to do with you. And he said, sorry for the interruption. He says, I don't talk to snitches. I don't talk to informants. You turn this guy in. snitches in a bad sense, turning a collaborator with the enemy. And he said, so do I appear to people that collaborate with the enemy? And Rabbi Joshua ben Levi says to him, didn't I act according to the brisa that we're talking about, the subject of our discussion? And Eliyahu said to him, is that a statement for the pious? In other words, is that really a righteous position to take? So the position of Rabbi Shimon ben Resh Lakish, is that we only turn such a one over to the Goyim if he's guilty of a capital crime, and the position of Rabbi Yochanan, based upon this account, is concerning Joshua ben Levi and Eliyahu, that even if he's not guilty, in other words, it doesn't matter if he's guilty of a crime or if he's of a capital crime or not guilty of a capital crime, we never turn him over to the Goyim. We just don't do it. And that the basis of that would be that then appealing to the fact that the story in 2 Samuel 20:22 doesn't involve any Goyim. They were all Jews. And the crime wasn't just a capital crime, it was treason against the house of David within a intra-Jewish group. So he says we don't turn a Jew over to the Gentiles to be executed, whether he's guilty of a capital crime or not guilty of a capital crime. We don't do it if he's in a box with a fox. We don't do it on a boat with a goat, in a house with a mouse. We do not do it here nor there. We do not do it anywhere. We don't do it. And that is the position of Rabbi Yochanan and the Jerusalem Talmud. So now hopefully we have a really good understanding from the Ta'anim and the Amorim from Chazal of the brisa here that tells us, returning to our original source, the Tosefta, a group of Jews to whom Gentiles say, give us one of you that we shall kill him, and if not, behold, we will kill all of them. They should let themselves be killed and not deliver them one soul from Israel. For if they designate the person to them, for example, Sheva ben Behiri, they should give him to them and not let themselves be killed. And of course, there's a whole bunch of debate over that by the exact meaning of that by both Rabbi Judah, the compiler of the Mishnah, and by the Amorim, culminating with Rabbi Yochanan, the editor-compile of the Jerusalem Talmud. Unfortunately, as I said, this isn't covered in the Babylonian Talmud or in the Mishnah, so it's sort of obscure, though it's readily available to serious students of Shas and serious students of Chazal. It's there to be found. And so this sheds a tremendous light on the statement by Caiaphas or Kaifa, and that is that, remember now, he was a Sadducee, almost certainly was a Sadducee, and therefore he rejected the oral law. He rejected this brisa altogether. And so his position is exactly the opposite, virtually the opposite of the brisa. His position is that it's better to turn over a Jew to the Goyim to be executed than it is for the entire nation to suffer potential destruction. So Caiaphas's decision to turn Yeshua over to the Goyim was in direct conflict with the Pharisaic oral law position that we find in the Brisa and that we find in the Tosefta and the Genesis Rabbah, and he elucidated on not only there but in the Jerusalem Talmud. So I hope this helps you better understand the trial of Yeshua and the fact that the turning over of Yeshua to the Goyim, to the Romans, was in contradiction to, violation of the Jewish oral law, the oral Torah, as found in the Brisa of the Tosefta and the Genesis Rabbah and the Jerusalem Talmud. It violated that, and it did so because Kaifa, like the Karaites of later times and today, rejected the oral Torah and instead took the position that it was better to took the exact opposite position. It was better to sacrifice one Jew to save the many than it was to refuse to do so and to not turn such a one over to the Goyim. So once again, I hope this study in Chazal and the Shas helps elucidate the Ketuvim Netzarim, the writings of the Nazarenes, and helps in the culmination of the restoration of the ancient sect of Nazarene Judaism. May the Lord bless and keep you. May he shine his face upon you and grant you peace. Until next time, shalom, everybody.